Yo! Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Season 6 of Warzone 2 is here, and with it is coming a ton of spooky and scary things that we're gonna get with the Haunting event coming on October 17th.
It's Halloween. That is really, really good timing.
But it is also bringing along a lot of buffs and nerfs to some of your favorite weapons, so I am here today to give you my top 5 meta loadouts that you're gonna need for Season 6. We're gonna go over a couple of long-range and short-range options in this video, and after doing some research, trust me, you guys are gonna wanna use some of these weapons. If you guys end up enjoying the video, make sure you're smacking that like button, hitting the subscribe button, and ringing that bell if you wanna get notified every time we upload here on the channel. And without further ado, let's get right into our first loadout. For our first loadout, we are going over a weapon that dominated the second half of Season 5 in Warzone 2, the Kastov 762. Once the Cronin Squall was nerfed at the beginning of Season 5, the Kastov 762 definitely took its place as a high recoil, high damage option that you can use at longer ranges. And while I did see a little bit of a nerf to its damage, I think this thing is still a top tier option, so here's the loadout for y'all. For our first attachment, we're heading over to muzzles to throw on that talk to you later muzzle. That's still what I'm calling it, trust me. It's gonna help us out with horizontal recoil since the vertical recoil for this gun is pretty controllable. For the tunings on the muzzle, we're going all the way up on the left and going all the way to the right on the bottom. Next, we're over to barrels, throwing on the longest range barrel, which in this case is the Cast 10 barrel. This is gonna help us out with all of our range, bullet velocity, and a little bit of recoil control. For the tunings on the barrel, we're going all the way up on the left and all the way to the right on the bottom. Next, we're over to under barrels. You know what it is. It's the tried and true F-Tac Ripper. We're throwing it on to get us some aiming stability and recoil stabilization. For the tunings on the Ripper, we're going all recoil, going all the way up on the left and going all the way to the right on the bottom. For our optic, we're throwing on the aim OPV4. And for the tunings, of course, we are going all the way down to aim down sight speed and all the way up to the right for far. And last but not least, we're heading over to magazines to throw on the 40 round mag. This, of course, is going to give us as many bullets as possible to throw down range before we have to reload. A lot of people are going to get scared by the nerf to this gun in the newest update, but trust me, the Kastov 762 is not going anywhere. While it might not necessarily be the top dog, this thing is still going to be very good, so get it in your loadout ASAP. And with that, let's head on to our next build. All right, here's where you guys are going to start thinking I'm crazy, but I really do think that the BAS-P is finally going to be competitive in the meta this season. They have been buffing this gun like crazy for the better part of 3 seasons now, but I truly think with its damage profile now, it can finally compete against some of the other SMGs. And with tons and tons of movement speed, this thing can definitely make some moves in the meta this season. So let's get right into that class setup. For our first attachment, we're heading to muzzles to throw on the Spiral V35 flash hider to give us a bunch of recoil steadiness. For the tunings on the muzzle, we are going down to negative 0.75 on the left and over to positive 0.2 on the bottom. For our next attachment, we're heading over to barrels to throw on the 6.5 inch Bruin Drake. We're gonna get a ton of movement speed with this build and not give up too much recoil, so definitely throw this one on. For the tunings on the barrel, we're going down to negative 0.35 on the left and going over to negative 0.25 on the bottom. For our next attachment, we're over to lasers, throwing on the VLK laser, of course, to give us a bunch of sprint to fire speed, ADS time, and a little bit of aiming stability. For the tunings on the laser, we're going down to a negative 0.35 again, and somewhere around negative 38, 37 on the bottom. For our next attachment, we're going over to rear grips to throw on the Bruin flash grip to give us some more sprint to fire speed and ADS time. For the tunings on the rear grip, this is where we're getting a little bit of that recoil back, going down to negative 0.15 on the left and going over to positive 0.3 on the bottom. And then, of course, for our last attachment, we are going to magazines to throw on the 50 round drum. This bat shoots very, very fast, so you're gonna want as many bullets as possible in this thing, so make sure you're throwing on the 50 round drum. I don't care, guys, you can call me crazy, but I seriously think this gun's gonna make moves in this season. Of course, SMGs like the Lachmann sub and the ISO, which you might see later in this video, are still gonna dominate the meta. Things like the Vel and the Vaznev, I really think this gun has a chance of being better than. So give it a try, see what you think, and you can always switch back to that Lachmann sub. With that, let's head to our third loadout of the video. For our third loadout, we are going to one of the classics, the M4. Now, I talked about this gun being meta in the Season 5 Reloaded video, but with guns like the Kastov and especially the M13 getting nerfed, the M4 could really take its place on top of the pyramid this season. 60 round mags, a low recoil, and tons of damage. This thing is definitely good. So let's get into that class setup. For our first attachment, we're going over to muzzles to throw on the Harbinger D20. This is going to give us a bunch of bullet velocity and damage range that this gun sorely needs. For the tunings on the Harbinger, we're going all the way up on the left and to positive 0.45 on the bottom. Our next attachment, we are over to barrels to throw on the Hightower 20-inch barrel, the best barrel for the M4, which is going to give us even more damage range and bullet velocity, as well as giving us some recoil control. For the tunings on the barrel, we are going up to positive 0.3 on the left and going all the way over to positive 0.4 on the bottom. Over to underbarrels, of course, you know what it is, that F-Tag Ripper, baby, giving us some aiming stability and recoil stabilization, the best of the business. The M4 doesn't have too much recoil, so we're going to keep it a little bit faster and go up to positive 0.55 on the left and go over to positive 0.15 on the bottom. For our optic, of course, the much better option for this weapon is the AIM OPV4. For the tunings, you know what it is, aim down sight speed and far. And for our last attachment, we're heading over to magazines, where, as I mentioned, this thing has a 60-round magazine. Anytime we can get a ton of bullets on our magazine, it's a good thing, so definitely throw on the 60-round mag. You already know that the M4 is a classic, and it has been sorely missed from the meta over the entire course of Warzone 2. But I really think it's a top option this season, so you're going to want to get it in your class ASAP. And that being said, let's head to our fourth loadout of the video. All right, we're gonna come down to earth a little bit here with the SMGs, as we're gonna go over my current favorite SMG option in the game, the ISO 45. The ISO, as well as a lot of the meta SMGs, was not touched at all in this update, so it is still gonna be as dominant as it was in Season 5. And apart from the actually awful iron sights, I do think that this thing has the highest movement to damage ratio for SMGs. So let's get right into my build for this thing. For our first attachment, we're heading over to barrels to throw on the X-Raptor V2. This is going to give us a bunch of movement speed and ADS time to get us schmoving. For the tunings on the barrel, we're going down to negative 0.3 on the left and going over to positive 0.2 on the bottom. Next, we're over to lasers. Can you guess what it is? That's right, it's the VLK laser to give us ADS and sprint to fire speed. For the tunings on the laser, we are going down to negative 0.3 on the left and all the way over to the right on the bottom. No, I meant left. You didn't hear right, I said left. For our next attachment, this is where you're gonna get a ton of movement speed. We're heading over to stocks to throw on the Demo Fade Tac to give us a bunch of aim walking speed, you know, the strafing, and to give us a bunch of sprint speed as well. For the tunings on the stock, we are going all the way down on the left and going over to a negative 1 on the bottom. Again, keeping up with that trend of movement speed, we are going to rear grips to throw on the EXP Shear to give us sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. For the tunings on the Shear, we are going all the way down on the left and all the way to the left on the bottom. And last but not least, we're going to magazines to throw on the 45 round drum mag. I don't need to say anything about this ISO 45. You guys already know. Even with the new ISO coming in, I still think that this thing is going to be a top tier option until they nerf it. You don't need to put it in your loadout. It's already in there. I know it is. And with that, let's head on to our last loadout of the video. For our last loadout, we've got a gun that is making its return after being nerfed in Season 5. That's right, I'm talking about the Taq-V battle rifle. There was actually a lot of battle rifles that got buffed in this most recent update, but the Taq-V definitely got the best of most of them. And with the Cronin and the Kastov 7.62 falling down that totem pole, it's finally time for the Taq-V to be back on top and sit on the throne. So let's get right into that loadout for it, huh? For our first attachment, we're going over to muzzles to throw on the Sack and Tread 40. This is going to give us a bunch of horizontal and vertical recoil to make sure this thing is a beam. For the tunings on our muzzle, we are going up to positive 0.5 on the left and over to positive 0.2 on the bottom. Next, we are over to barrels, throwing on the 18-inch Precision 6 barrel to give us a bunch of damage range, bullet velocity, and hip fire accuracy. I don't know why that's like that on all of these assault rifles. For the tunings though, we're going all recoil and damage range, going all the way up on the left and all the way to the right on the bottom. Hey guys, guess what? It's the F-Taq Ripper again. That's our next attachment, going over to underbarrels. For the tunings on the Ripper, all the way up on the left and all the way to the right on the bottom. Next, for our optic, we got that AIM OPV4. Of course, for the optic, we are tuning it all the way to ADS and far down right. You got it. And last but not least, we're going over to magazines to throw in a 50-round drum mag. 50-round drum mag is actually a lot for a battle rifle, which is another reason why I think this Taq-V is going to be super meta this season. I don't know, guys. I just got a feeling that the Taq-V is going to be back. It's definitely a good option for both Vondel and Al Mazrah, so get this thing in your loadout ASAP if you want to do a bunch of damage and beam people downrange. Before we sign off today, I want to give you guys a couple of honorable mention weapons that you can use in this season of Warzone. And first, we are starting out with the SO14. I've been keeping my eye on the SO for a couple seasons now, as I made a loadout video for it last season. And after some testing, I can tell you this gun does more damage than it did last season, which is definitely a good thing. If you were a big fan of that DMR meta back in the day and like single fire weapons, this is definitely going to be a good option for you. Who knows, maybe I'm way ahead of the times and this thing ends up being the actual meta this season. This is just something fun that I figured you guys would like. I like this gun, give it a try. And for our second honorable mention, it's the Lachmann sub, which is still good as it has not been nerfed in this season. But I have slightly tweaked my loadout, so I figured I would give it to you guys. Again, I cannot repeat enough, this gun does not need an introduction at all. Super fast fire rate, good mobility, a little bit of range. It's been on top of the meta, and it definitely still is. If you're a big fan of ranked or watching ranked Warzone, this is gonna be one of those options that you see everybody running. And if you're feeling like getting on, dropping a PR, or just plain old sweating, this Lachmann is gonna be your best option. I'm telling you guys, it might take Modern Warfare 3's Warzone, but eventually this thing is gonna get nerfed, I promise. Until then, keep using this thing, keep putting it in your loadout, and keep fragging out with it. And those are my favorite loadouts that I am going to be using in Season 6 of Warzone. We are gearing up for Modern Warfare 3, and I could not be more excited, especially since they're actually bringing us a ton of content this season that you are gonna wanna look at. But until that day, this is what we got, and I definitely recommend all of these loadouts. Once again, if you guys end up enjoying the video, make sure you're smacking that like button, hitting the subscribe button, and ringing that bell if you wanna see even more videos like this one in the future. Don't forget to head over to kick.com/Kelvinator, where you can watch me using all of these builds live. Thank you guys, love y'all, and we will see you in the next video.